Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. So sorry for my absence lately. I've just been really busy these past couple of weeks, so I haven't had time to record anything. But for those who are wondering where my Trickstar deck is, don't worry, it's still coming. I just had to postpone it for right now because I'm kind of just dabbling with the strategy and wanted to try a couple things first before I finalize it. But until then, figured I'd just show you some other deck profiles that I already had on my list. And the next one I'm showing you guys now is Guru Control. Now, unlike my previous builds, I am not running Dragoon in this build. And to just let you clarify, just to clarify why I'm not running it at all, it's because I've been having a low ceiling with it. In fact, there were times I just kind of kept breaking with it. Like, I'm not drawing enough disruptors, and sometimes I would just keep drawing into one of my vanillas. And I was like, you know what? Let's scrap the Dragoon build. Let's start over. And this time, kind of go with more of a, add more stun elements with my deck, as well as adding good utility cards just to help me get into, like, my disruptors, like my Solemn Judgments or my Floodgates and things like that. So anyway, I'll share with you guys what I got this time around, and let's get started. So the main deck is 40 cards, starting off with 3 copies of Guru. Naturally, this is going to be your main starter. On Flip Summon, it lets you search out any Subterra card. So yeah, Guru is definitely the best card in the entire deck. And to go along with Guru, 3 copies of Fiendus. This is your Omni Negate. As long as your Guru is face up and your opponent tries to negate Guru's effect with like a Imperm or an Ash, you can literally just block it out with Fiendus and then just boom, go there. Or if you just need to disrupt one of your opponent's plays, this is definitely the card to do that too. And the only other Subterra monster I'm going to be running is Subterra Nemesis Archer. As long as you control a face-up Subterra monster, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, you get to bounce it back to the opponent's deck. So yeah, Nemesis Archer definitely has some viability into the strategy. Next up, 2 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I was considering running 3 of these, but I didn't want to brick with it. And yeah, generally, I wanted to make room for some other cards too. But during your main phase, you can activate this effect. This card becomes revealed until the end of the opponent's turn. And while this card is revealed, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. If a set spell or trap is activated, except during damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you activated this effect while it was revealed, you can reveal and set 1 spell or trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. And of course, you can only use one of these effects per turn and only once that turn. So yeah, Lord of the Heavenly Prison, definitely an amazing card. Now for the spice, I'm actually running a very small Bystial package. 2 copies of Magma, which funny enough, Magma can search out Guru because Guru is a dragon type monster. So that's really nice. And it's just really strong against the branded matchup. And of course, I am also running 1 Druid Swarm just to go along with it in case if I already have the Guru to, just to go off. Yeah, Druid Swarm is a good enough second card to search. But yeah, the fact that Magma can search out Guru is pretty nuts. So if my Hidden City gets negated and I do have dark targets on either graveyard, then yeah, the Bystial package definitely comes in clutch. And the fact that they're also pretty good DD Crows is nuts too. Now against the Cashier matchup might not be the best, but they do have some dark monsters that you can banish if you can manage to clear their board off of them. So just bear that in mind. For my hand traps, just running the best ones in my opinion. 3 copies of Ash Blossom, just generically good this format, and 3 copies of Imperm. And the fact that Imperm is also just a trap card in general is really nice. But yeah, I felt like these were the best ones, and Imperm just really nice because I have seen some Cashier players running the Triple T engine, so yeah, definitely something to consider. But moving on to spells. For my build, I decided to go back and play the Pot of Extravagance. So yeah, mine is generally a Pot of Extravagance build now, only because I very rarely go into the extra deck, whatsoever. So yeah, and considering I'm not running Dragoon anymore, I think Extravagance is pretty good. Because having those 2 cards really helps. And even if I do get Ash, as long as I have enough openers to, still go off, yeah, it's not the end of the world. And also to go along with my Pot of Extravagance, I am running 2 copies of Pot of Duality, which is really nice. My deck never really special summons anyway, so other than the Bystials, but usually I do that during my opponent's turn rather than my own. So yeah, Duality doesn't really conflict with my strategy whatsoever. 3 Hidden City, this is the card to get into Guru, and just lets you get kick-started with your engine. 1 Terraforming, 1 Subterra Cave Clash, and of course 1 Call by the Grave. And yeah, that pretty much runs out our spells. Excuse me. All right, now for trap cards, Running 3 copies of Judgment. I mean, this is pretty obvious. You need to run Judgment for this deck because, you know, cards like Evenly Matched are in the format. Everybody's setting that out. So, like, you definitely don't want that to clear off your board. So, Judgment's a good card to stop it. Fiend is pretty much does the same thing, too. But, yeah, like, it's always good to have that extra backup. 2 Final Battle. This card's really broken. The fact that it always resets itself is nice. 2 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. I do have plenty of targets for this card, so don't worry. For Floodgates, you know, the best one I feel like to play right now is Summon Limit. Like, yeah, Tikaboo is a great Floodgate, but I'd rather play that on side because, like, we're in the format where, like, Branded plays different types, so, like, hitting them with Tikaboo might not be the best thing to do. Kashtira, even though a majority of their deck is Psychic, they do have other types, and they could easily banish the Tikaboo. I'd rather just slow them down with cards like Summon Limit, where they just can't, like, kick off, and that way I can just, like, keep disrupting them and just make sure they don't, like, get any board advantage, you know. And of course, to round up our spells, new tech card, 2 copies of Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. So basically, it's a Book of Eclipse, change as many monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position. Then, if either player controls a face-up monster or monsters, they must send all face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. This is pretty funny because, like, against Trap Tricks, like, the first effect doesn't affect them whatsoever, but the second effect does because it affects the player. So, yeah, this card is pretty nasty. It's Book of Eclipse, but if anything, a little bit better. And the fact that, you know, I want my monsters to go back and face on defense, yeah, that's pretty nuts. So, yeah, I figured to give this card a try, and you know what? It's working for me. All right, so for the extra deck, playing 3 copies of Relinquish Anima. Probably the only extra deck monster I'm going to generally go into because, you know, I do run Fiendus. Fiendus' flip effect does come up. Or not flip effect, but the Book of Moon effect where it revives another Subterror monster can come up. So, like, if I just need to take control of one of my opponent's monsters, yeah, Relinquished Anima is definitely the card to do that. 2 copies of Alsa. Just as a Dogmatic of Punishment target, I am running 2 copies of 5-headed Link Dragon. I mean, it's 5k. You might as well just, like, play something that you're guaranteed to get over, you know? Same thing with the original 5-headed dragon. So, like, yeah, they're just 5k bodies just to send off a Dogmatic of Punishment. So that way, you know, I'm always able to get over something, you know? 3 copies of Intes, another great punishment target because, you know, if it's sent to the graveyard, you can pop a card your opponent controls. 2 copies of Wind Pegasus Agnister. This card, you know, targets 1 card your opponent controls, shuffle it back into the deck, so yeah. And of course, 1 Sideframe Lord Omega. If I do happen to spare this off of Extravagance, you know, at least I can shuffle back some of my resources. So yeah, Omega is pretty good. All right, for the side deck. Now the side deck took me some time to kind of like dabble with, but this is what I pretty much ended up with as the final draft, essentially. 3 copies of Lava Golem, only because, like, if I do play Nibiru, which is still a great card, mind you, but, you know, like, decks like Kashtira, they're going to be prepared for that with Crossout Designator. And so you generally want to use cards that they're not going to be able to really respond to. So, like, Lava Golem is definitely the card to do that. I play 3 Book of Moon. You might be wondering, why not Book of Eclipse? Well, the theory with Book of Eclipse is that unless you know you're going to be able to clear your opponent's board, you generally don't want them to draw cards. Plus, Book of Eclipse can actually be hit with Ash. So with Book of Moon, they have nothing to respond to, and they can't be drawing any cards. So yeah, Book of Moon, it just felt a little bit better. And it's also beneficial to myself because, like, if I need to flip Guru face down, then yeah, like, that's definitely like a card to do that, you know? But again, that's just my theory with it. 2 Necro Valley, and of course set rotation to go along with them. That's just on certain matchups that, like, again, Branded's like a very graveyard reliant deck, so like if I know for a fact I'm up against that matchup, then I'll just side these in. I pretty much just win because, like, they can't really do much against Necro Valley. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, just for like any other back row heavy strategy. So like I know like Trap Tricks do have a way to protect our back row, but unless they don't have it, then Harpy's Feather Duster can actually do the job just fine. I am running Evenly Matched. It's just a good equalizer. And for the right matchup, Tikaboo. Again, Branded can easily play around this because they play various types. Cashier technically can as well. Labyrinth, you know, they probably might have a trickier time, but they're generally a back row heavy deck too, so maybe not. But yeah, like, I just wanted to play cards that just made sense, you know? But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.